Today I'm going to be listening to a piece by Italian composer Francesco Filidei. This is a composer whom I really admire, who I discovered at age 25, 26. The piece is a cello concerto called Ogni, gesto d'amore. I apologize if I mispronounced that. Commissioned by the city of Munich for the Münchener Biennale. We're going to have to take our time with this one, going over the instrumentation as well as the performance notes, as there are a lot of extended techniques. Then I'll show you briefly what the first page of the score looks like, and I'll also have to talk a little bit about the composer. This is our first Filidei episode. Now the instrumentation for this is 2-2-3-2, 4-3-3-1, 4 percussionists, timpani, piano, harp, and strings. The recommended number of string players is 14, 12, 10, 8, 6. Third clarinet is on bass. Third trumpet is on trumpet in B flat, whereas the other two trumpets are in C. The brass are doubling on a bunch of instruments here. Let me make sure I know what they are. Horns 1 and 2 are doubling on corrugated tubing. I believe this is the plastic tubes that you can rotate to get partials of the harmonic series. And then horns 3 and 4 are doubling on nightingale hand calls. So I believe these are hand operated little nightingale calls. Trumpets 1 and 2 are doubling on crow horns, basically. So crow calls. And then the third trumpet is on duck call. The first trombone is on duck call. These are wild boar calls. And then this tuba doubling is the water whistle, what you would consider like a typical bird whistle. The 3 trombones all need metal wah-wah mutes, as do the 3 trumpets. I think that's it for the brass. The percussions here, so percussion 1 is on bass drum, water gong, triangle, bottle, so a bottle with enough liquid in it to play an F4. Then guero, flexiton, thunder sheet, rototom, vibroslap, balloon, crotales, bowed crotales ranging from F sharp, ridden F sharp 4 to ridden F sharp 5. I think this is a couple other calls here. This is a quail call and a grouse call. All of these calls I am assuming are things you would find at a hunting store. They're designed to call animals. Then percussion 2 is also on bass drum. Waterphone. Glass chimes, their own bottle but on D4. Wine glasses on sounding D5, F5, E5, and F sharp 5. Rattle, thunder sheet, large rototom, a musical bow, like an archer's bow that you would play. And then we have a thrush call and a tit call. Percussion 3 is on bass drum as well. Rain stick, glass chimes, tam-tam. Their bottle is on A3. Their 4 wine glasses are on F sharp 4, A4, A sharp 4, and C sharp 5. They have a woodblock, a thunder sheet, a rototom, and their own tit call. And then percussion 4, they're on bass drum, chimes made out of seashells, a bottle on F sharp 3, whip, gong sounding on B flat 2, thunder sheet, balloon, rototom, crotales, ranging from F sharp to F sharp, just like the other percussionist, percussion one. Then we have a sparrow call and their own, what call was this again? And their own grouse call. So some of these calls are like hand operated, the manual ones, and then others are blown into. The timpani has a reversed cymbal placed on top, as well as a rin in D. I think this is the first time I encountered the word rin. It just means like a singing bowl. And then a gun. Not sure what type of gun they would be firing. They also have a horse call, it looks like, and a grouse call. The pianist is doubling on a musical box. Doesn't specify what is going on in the musical box, just a hand crank one. The pianist has to be prepared to play inside the piano with a mallet, a glass, I'm guessing like a glass bottle or a whiskey glass or something, plectrum, like a guitar pick, and then with diapason. Harp also needs a guitar pick or some type of pick, and their own diapason. Yeah, not sure what Filidei means by that. Okay, it's just French for tuning fork. My bad. Maybe the harpist has to hold a tuning fork against the instrument. Same thing with the piano. You could hold one up to the strings. That makes sense. And basses 4 through 6 need their fifth string, the C string. He even provides a link to where all the bird calls can be found. This is a French toy maker, I guess. This is a bit of a rabbit hole. I mean, this is a fairly old score. Maybe they have sort of changed their inventory and what they specialize in since the publishing of this score. What I like about this instrumentation list is he provides little icons for each of the bird calls, which is quite nice to know what you're looking for. This is a symbol for loud page turning. So obviously the ensemble members are supposed to turn pages together to make sounds. Tongue ram, this is a pretty standard notation for flute. Some other flute notations. Breath tone is with a diamond note head. Okay. The two note heads, I guess they're blowing with the teeth clenched or holding the mouthpiece between the teeth so that you get sort of like a second and third partial popping out. Whistle tones, that's pretty straightforward. Natural multiphonic, kind of like a jet whistle. And then approximate pitch with glissandi. There's a couple multiphonics that with fingerings here, only two of them. And they're both minor thirds, yeah. Oboes also have the same tongue ram notation. They have a read-only, some read-only things, and then the same approximate pitch thing. Oboes get 3 different multiphonics. Clarinets, you got the bisbigliando trills, that's very idiomatic. Natural multiphonic, a bit harder on the clarinet. You do have to overblow a lot, but pretty effective, especially on bass clarinet. And then muffled playing, this is a nice notation. You're probably going to get something similar to some of Sciarrino's techniques without having to notate extreme dynamics. Teeth on the reed. And then I've heard performers complain about this one just because it can be painful or uncomfortable. And then approximate pitch stuff. And they have 2 multiphonics. Both of them seem to be very quiet. And then bassoons they just have multiphonics and the same stuff as before. Obviously, bassoon has very rich multiphonics. They have all kinds of key stuff they can do. So there's actually six here for the bassoons. Those will be cool. Trumpets just have breath sound and then like percussion like on the body of the instrument. Same thing with the horns. They have a piston glissando. It's kind of cool, like half piston and some half piston stuff with the square note heads. You know, as you can see, Filidei is well aware of the limitations of his instruments, and like brass do have less extended techniques for his use in this piece. Sliding between tuning pins and bridge pins on the harp. So I guess there's a bit of string at the top of the instrument. You can run along that. It's interesting. It's kind of like playing behind the bridge on a stringed instrument. And then buzz tone. I guess like having the fingertip sort of muting the string. This is actual muted strings though. And then brushing with the pick, taking the tuning fork and brushing it along the tuning pins. Interesting. Hitting the frame of the piano, there's a note head for that. Having a sliding glass on the inside of the piano, obviously on the string of the note being struck with the other hand. These piano ones, you have to imagine the left hand is, one of the hands is inside, the other one is playing. Same notation as the harp for sliding between the tuning pins and bridge pins. Same muted notation as the harp. All of this is the same notation as the harp, but inside the piano. You have to imagine the piano is like a harp lying down kind of thing, or the opposite. Bartok pits on the strings. This tiny glissando idea, I guess it's like a seagull effect if it's on a... this would be an artificial harmonic. Another glissando symbol. Exaggerated pression. So this symbol means something different for the strings than it does the winds. And then sliding across the wood of the instrument, like bowing the body of the instrument. That's used with the flagged triangle note head. I've never seen this note head before, but it's kind of cool. Colegno battuto, he just has an X note head instead of specifying. I guess it's that involved, that it needs its own note head. And yeah, exaggerated bow pressure is like the rectangle note head. So you can kind of see that he's very inventive with his symbols, and this is all designed to work with the score. Francesco Filidei is as I said, an Italian composer. He's a student of Salvatore Sciarrino. He also studied with spectral composer Michele Levinas. He also took the IRCAM composition course. His degrees are from Conservatorio Luigi Cherubini and Conservatoire de Paris. In addition to being a composer, he's an organist, and he is about 52 years old at the date of recording, born in 1973. I think most notable is the Sciarrino influence, but I think his music's a little bit more conceptual. Sciarrino said that Filidei tries to imagine a music that has lost the sound element. So take that as you will. Maybe this listening will sort of illuminate on that a little bit, or will illustrate that for you. I find his music fascinating, and I'm excited to listen to this piece again. I don't know if it's the best piece to introduce you to his music, but it's as good as any, I think, because he has a very, regardless of what you think of his style, he does have a very consistent style that is unique to him. and is sort of like the ideal if you want to be a very accomplished European composer. So yeah, I think with that being said, we can get into the listening session. Um, the recording that I'm listening to is in the video description. Okay, so this was a really great experience. Definitely sounded very different from the last time I listened to it. When I first heard it, I was blown away by the use of the cello, obviously. I'd never heard a cello play so high for so long, and the opening is very striking in that way. It still is striking, but I think I have a better appreciation now of how many different sound worlds this piece explores. It really goes through a lot of different ideas. All of them are semi-repetitive, kind of like in Sciarino's work, um, but very diverse. Like the ending is extremely different from everything else that preceded it, and that it's kind of interesting. I also think that he has a real facility for just like combining sounds and knowing that they'll work together. Like these are very carefully constructed little like sound worlds, and it's very fascinating. I love the use of bass drum when it comes back towards the end, and the mix of like I think there are four separate bass drums, is what I'm hearing in the recording, one for each percussionist, and you have them like slowly beating quietly at a loud dynamic at one point. You also have like these soft bass drum tremolos, which create a whole like atmosphere unto themselves. There were definitely a lot of sounds in the strings that were so quiet I could almost not really hear them, but they look fantastic on the page. But there's just things like this happening that are very graphic looking in the violins, and it's exceptionally quiet. It's hard to hear. I think that's the bowing the body of the instrument, actually, which makes sense. That's yeah, it's incredibly quiet as a sound. I like how there's like a mix of very noisy dissonant stuff and then more like harmonic series-y kind of almost consonant sounding things, but sort of emerging out of just like using the string harmonics of the cello. Um, Except for the ending. The ending is literally just like kind of tonal sounding, and it's very, very weird. I think it would be really fantastic if this was programmed more. It just takes a lot of effort on the orchestra's part to make sure that everything sounds correct, you know? Um, I also wanted to mention that I thought that the page turning stuff was really cool. It looks cool in the score. As a composer, you think about it logistically, and it's very fun. Like, it takes something which is so mundane and almost like annoying, which is organizing page turns, and makes it into something musical and fun. So, and it's in the beginning of the piece, it comes back in the end. It's the first thing you hear, and the score is so designed that the conductor can do it along with everybody, and I just think that's really, really fun. So you steal that notation if you want to do that stuff. Maybe you could write a whole piece with just that as a joke. What's the notation here? This thing. It's always all over a bar line for obvious reasons. So this would be the last note of one measure, and then this is the first note of the measure after the page turn. Okay, I have not much else to say today. In a couple days, I'll be listening to another cello concerto by Jörg Friedrich Haas, and that'll be it for the cello concerti. I only have the two scores.